So our keynote speaker today comes to us from Douglas County. This gentleman started with the Sheriff's Department at the ripe old age of 21, where I just learned he had his early assignments of going undercover with the high schools. His dedication, his hard work proved his ability to move his way up through the ranks. He became well known for his investigative skills, which led to several very high-profile convictions. He has continued to work his way up through the ranks, and in 2024, he graduated from the FBI Academy, proving that he is dedicated to law enforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Sheriff Darren Weekly.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's a true honor to be here today for the 10th Annual Public Safety Communications Subcommittee Radio Summit. Again, my name is Darren Weekly. I'm the elected sheriff of Douglas County. Beautiful and safe Douglas County. We are unapologetic about crime fighting down here, and we like to make examples of idiots that are dumb enough to come into our county and commit crimes. So, absolutely. That's the nice thing about being the sheriff is if you don't like what I'm doing, you gotta recall me. I have a lot more freedom than police chiefs do, so it's wonderful. But again, thank you for coming this morning. Jeff Vaughn had set up and asked me a while back, can you come and speak? I said, I'd be happy to, I'd be honored. What do you need? And he goes, well, maybe if you give us a speech about 30 to 45 minutes. Nobody wants to listen to me talk for 30 to 45 minutes, I assure you, but I'm nonetheless happy to be here. Jeff said just to keep it interesting, and I said no guarantees. But whether you're part of law enforcement, fire service, emergency medical teams, or in any other public safety role, we all know how critical communication is, and it's the backbone of all of our operations. It's the lifeline to ensure our safety of our first responders when they're responding to any type of emergency throughout our jurisdictions. Today I want to challenge each and every one of you to ask yourselves a profound question, and that is, are you prepared? And collectively as a group, are we prepared for whatever emergencies might be in front of us? It's always easy to think that we're always ready for any situation when everything's running smoothly. But the real test comes when things start to break down, when the unexpected happens. I know firsthand because I was the SWAT team commander when the Arapahoe High School shooting happened. Now, granted, the Arapahoe High School shooting was many years ago, but we couldn't communicate. Not only could we not communicate with other jurisdictions, we couldn't even talk to each other across the street. That's a problem. And granted, things have changed. We've have a lot of other things in place now to ensure that that doesn't happen. But what if that happens in your jurisdiction and you have that unthinkable happen? You have that mass shooting at one of your schools or at one of your businesses, and everybody is responding whether you want them to or not. They're coming whether you want them to or not. Are you ready for that when your system gets overloaded? Today I want you to walk through a thought process that should guide you for your preparedness in an effort in the realms of communications and how it mirrors many of the strategies we already put into place in public safety. Let's start by acknowledging that public safety is not just about having the right equipment, the right technology, or the right protocols that you have in place. It's about being prepared for literally anything that could occur in your jurisdiction. This is where law enforcement and the fire services, we have very different responsibilities, but some are strikingly similar. We all rely on communication networks that are often taken for granted until those systems fail. And that's the key. We need to be ready when those systems break down. Have you ever stopped to consider the worst case scenarios? What happens when something happens that you hadn't planned for? Something that limits or stops you or your team from performing your duties? What if your communications system fails in the middle of that operation, which is exactly what happened to us at Arapahoe High School? I ask these questions because they are very real scenarios that we must think about now while we still have time to prepare. There's some key areas of consideration in our preparedness. Number one, equipment and readiness. First and foremost, do we have all the necessary equipment to do our jobs? And is it in good working order? Think about your primary communication tools. Do you know how to use them to their fullest potential? Do those that might be responding for you, if you're out of town or whatever, can they fill in if you're not available? Do you know where the backup equipment is? Are you the only one that knows how to operate that equipment? For example, our radio sites are part of the digital trunk radio systems that connect us to the statewide radio network. But what happens if that radio site goes down or becomes inoperable? Are you equipped with backup communication tools that can step in? And more importantly, are your backup communication systems accessible through the radios that you use every single day? Or do you have to deploy a cache of radios or other technologies? Number two, fallback systems for escalating issues. In the same way that we have backup plans for law enforcement operations or fire responses, we need to have fallback systems for escalating communication failures. Let me ask you, if one of your radio sites fails, what's your next step? Take a moment to reflect on the whole cell of radio sites if those sites were to go down. Or if a site went down in the middle of an active situation, would you be able to communicate your operations seamlessly? Do you have backup systems in place to allow your team to communicate even when your primary infrastructure is compromised? In our case, we have redundant radio systems. We also have VHS simulcasts for both law and fire throughout our county and programmed into our everyday radios if this redundancy fails. Being an old school guy that's been doing this for 32 years, there's a lot of spots in our county where I like the VHF radio systems a lot more than our digital systems. They're more reliable. In addition, we have rapidly deployable portable radio repeaters to help with capacity and coverage issues. We have a cache of 50 portable multi-band radios that work with our primary and our backup systems. These redundancies are critical because they enable us to continue serving the public even when things are not going as planned. Number three, physical preparedness. It's not just about the equipment, it's also about us. Are we physically prepared to do whatever a situation demands of us? Are we prepared to walk up a mountain with heavy equipment or deal with an unforeseen emergency? I'm sure you've had moments when you've had to move quickly or just rapidly to an evolving situation. Sometimes that means being physically prepared to respond. For example, in law enforcement and fire service, that may mean carrying heavy gear or moving quickly through difficult terrain, or dealing with challenging environmental conditions. And in some cases, it might mean going up against a cyber attack on your system where our physical preparedness extends to being mentally or strategically ready to act. We need to be prepared for situations, whether that's physical or technological. And when things go sideways, and you know they always will, knowing how to communicate under pressure becomes just as important as any physical skill that we possess. Number four, support systems and coordination. Another critical question. Do you know who to contact for additional support if you need it? In a disaster scenario or significant system failure, having clear understanding of who is responsible for what and who can help you in an emergency is absolutely vital. Are your agency's radio and dispatch consoles programmed to ensure that backup systems work in conjunction with your neighboring agencies? Coordination between jurisdictions can be the difference between success and failure. For example, when it comes to radio systems, we have fallback plans with neighboring agencies to ensure we can continue to operate smoothly. Even when our radio's pre-programmed to ensure that if something happens, we can communicate across systems and across agencies. Mental preparedness and adaptability. Finally, let's talk about mental and preparedness. Have you mentally prepared for how you'll handle situations that are constantly shifting? The fact is, when things go wrong, they tend to escalate rapidly. And more often than not, your original plan is out the window within a few minutes. In the military, law enforcement, fire service, we are constantly drilled into the fact that we need multiple backup plans because plan A typically fails within the first few minutes. Plan B doesn't last much longer. So what is your contingency plan if your primary communication system goes down and backup fails and you're in the middle of that emergency? In our world of public safety communications, the question is, have you thought of all these scenarios and how they could affect your ability to communicate? Have you mentally prepared yourself to shift and adapt when things don't go according to that plan? In our county, we rely heavily on the statewide radio network. But what happens if the entire Zone 1 in the metro area, what happens when that system goes down? What if the entire simulcast cell goes offline? What if a radio site fails due to power loss or intentional damage, such as a copper theft? These are all the things that could happen, and when they do, we must be ready. Our duty is to stay prepared. We must ask ourselves, are we truly prepared? And not just for the situations that we expect, but for the ones that we don't. Are we ready for a system failure or that cyber attack or a disaster scenario that could compromise our ability to communicate effectively? As mentioned, I just got out of the FBI Academy about a year ago now. The feds are worried about this. The feds are worried about a terrorist attack that would take down our communications in conjunction with that attack. Are you ready for that? It's not enough to assume that things will go smoothly. We need to be prepared to respond and adapt and overcome when things don't go as planned. So as we move forward from today, again, I ask yourself, are you prepared? Collectively, are we prepared? And if not, what steps can we take? And this conference is a great step towards that. What steps can we take to correct it? If you've already zoned me out, there's one thing that I want you to remember from all of this. You, me, fire, EMS, public works, all of us that are in the public safety sector. Our community is counting on each and every one of us. They are relying on us to be the experts in our field. And we have to know exactly what we're doing. And when it goes bad, are we prepared? They are counting on us to save the lives of the people that they love the most. They are counting on us when seconds count. If we cannot communicate, we have failed each and every one of them when it absolutely matters the most. Our citizens that we serve will not forget or forgive us for that. That, my friends, is absolutely unacceptable. We need to be prepared for those worst case scenarios because after the incident is over, they will be looking at what did we do? How did we respond? If things go bad, how did we fix it? Because when lives are at stake, there are no excuses. Thank each and every one of you for what you do. God bless you all, and have an amazing conference.